All right, Shalom, Yashua, giving all praise and honor and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rekakodash. So, honestly, the apostle and the elders, great millstone, peace, blessed, hopefully. Man, Satan, man, I tell you, man, I just recorded this whole thing, and for some reason, it didn't record, which it was, man, I tell you. Let's go. We're gonna just go right through it again. All right. It says Brazil Central Bank names its digital currency Drex scheduled for 2024 launch. All right. It says Brasilia, August 7th. Brazil Central Bank forthcoming digital currency set to launch next year will be named Drex. It announced on Monday, aiming to its use of the aiming to use the currency to boost financial services. The Drex will use distributed ledger technology (DLT) to settle wholesale interbank transactions, while retail access will be based on tokenized bank deposits. Officials from the central bank previously predicted that the adoption of the Brazilian digital currency would commence by the end of 2024, following the completion of its testing phase. But Fabio Arujo, the coordinator of the initiative at the bank, said that employee strikes demanding better career advancement could potentially impact the project. All right, always running into problems. During a live discussion organized by the central bank, he emphasized that the development of Drex is primarily aimed at imposing access to financial services in the country. By enabling simple and reliable access to registered values through DLT technology, we reduce costs and democratize access to financial services. All right. I will play that video, but I just went through two videos, and like I said, did not record. And I just for time's sake here, I'm just gonna move on. You can just come and check out, because this is the second video. I believe this is a third video, which I didn't go into. I paused it there. I played the first video, and the second one popped up automatically, so I just played that one anyways. And this is where I paused it at, so I can continue with the article. So I'm not gonna play the video, just gonna go and continue, so I can move on. It says he also highlighted that Brazilians are already engaging in extensive digital payments through the instant payment platform, Pix, just like FedNow, an instant payment platform. Okay. It says which was launched in late 2021 and has been widely embraced. Now, the expectation is that Drex will bolster lending, investments, and insurance services. We aim to make these financial products accessible to the public and increase financial inclusion in Brazil. All right, Arujo Adam. That's the end of that article, but I wanted to read something down here real quick. Where is it? Here it is. It says central banks of Indonesia and Singapore start trial on cross-border QR code payments. It says Indonesia's central bank said on Thursday it has started a trial of cross-border QR code payments with its Singaporean counterpart. All right, and so that's it for this article right here. It was actually a lot shorter than a few minutes ago because for whatever reason the recording not only stopped, but it didn't record what I previously recorded. So that's that app. Brazil Central Bank names its digital currency Drex, scheduled for 2024 launch. And I believe we went into this, not this particular article, but talking about the Brazilian launch. But we go through so many various articles, so it's hard to keep up with all of them. So that is what it is. We're gonna go into our next article, and I got this one first from Reuters because it's the only one from an alternate site, and because the rest of the articles we're going to go through all going to be one from one site, so we'll get right into it. All right, so we're over here in Blacklisted News. No particular order. I'm going to grab these articles. They all should be listed right in front of me. So I just had to scroll down, to find them one by one, the ones that I saw that I want to grab. I'm going to start here, which is right from the top. It says Google's new AI summaries are a new way for the company to filter everything through its own biases. Right? Google's new AI being artificial intelligence, summaries are a new way for the company to filter everything through its own biases. All right, pretty much bias going to being too unfair. I believe it's unfair, right? Because unbiased is fair. All right, so unfairness, all right, its own unfairness, its own bias. If I'm correct, I have to double check those words. Yeah, but I believe a bias is going to, being unfair. All right, so it says a worrying new feature that could have major future implications. Can't see that, it's too small. It says if you're tired of censorship and dystopian threats against civil liberties. Okay, let's just talk about something else. All right, it says Google's latest move toward automated article summaries. Oh yeah, and we went into an article about this. Yep, having like it says, automated, summaries of articles which filters, like it just read in the title. It's going to filter information and give it to the general public. Basically what they want. So if there's some truth that they don't want to get out, a person to read, and what'll happen is a person will go on a particular website, they look up what they're looking for, and then they'll give you the summary saying we already read and we were going to summarize it for you. Well, how do I know that you're telling me the truth? You see, everything is going to be filtered through them. That's that bias that we were just talking about. All right. It's going to be, so they're basically controlling the narrative is the word, right? You heard that before, right? That's basically what they're doing. They're controlling the narrative. They're controlling the minds of what the people perceive and think, okay? But by giving you information that they want to give you, or presenting you a certain information, but in the manner that they want to present it to you, all right? So that's what it's going into. It says Google's latest move toward automated article summaries raises questions about its commitment to balanced journalistic integrity, particularly as the company hasn't exactly been known for its objectivity in recent years. The tech giant announced on August 15th it has made major modifications to its artificial intelligence systems. All right, and there's another article we're going to get with AI. I might get it next, all right? It says, introducing a feature that compresses and summarizes articles for users per using websites. It says, though described as a tool to efficiently navigate information online, you see, and like I said, we went through it in a previous, various articles. If you want to, go find and check that out, you can. It says, though described as a tool to efficiently navigate information online, previous precedents paint a concerning picture of Google's propensity to filter content to support its own ideological perspectives. Basically, case in point of what we just talked about and explained, right? Them giving you the filtered information instead of you reading all the actual factuals yourself, all right? Not having you come across information that will be against, we'll say, the global agenda, because everybody's falling in line with it. So, these people are no different, all right? Dick Tracy. Let's see, auto scrub your personal data off the internet. It says keep safe from scams and snoopers with the team working to keep your private data out of public. Sponsored. Okay. It says I'm not going to click that. I was compelled to, but I'm not going to. It says by ostensibly facilitating a straightforward access to key points of an article, complete with relevant links, Google is instigating a more direct interface in the consumption and interpretation of news. You see, that's what I was just talking about. An embedded feature, Explore on page, further encourages users to explore only AI-approved questions and answers. You see it? Who gives the AI its brain? The people that make it. All right, and this is what? Yeah, Google. Google. So yeah, come on, man. Google's creating the AI to tell you what is written, right? So it's gonna operate a certain way. It's gonna give certain responses. It's gonna filter the information, given its program coding, all right, to produce this whole network right here that they're building up for you, right? It says an embedded feature, Explore on page, further encourages users to explore only AI approved questions and answers. This results in a dynamic where Google AI becomes the primary summarizer of news. Boom. It says raising concerns on impartial dissemination and of information. All right. I guess this is a quick look into that app or whatever. What we're reading about, speaking on related insights about this page. Blah, 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 but all responses are going to be generated by artificial intelligence, which is not going to go against the system. All right. So it says the mounting evidence points to an entrenched bias in Google's algorithms and systems. There's a valid concern that such bias will pervade its news AI, diluting the objectivity essential for true freedom of speech. And that's not what I just said, right? Just worded a different way, pretty much. Okay, that was the rest. That was the end of that article. We get that title for you again. Google's new AI summaries are a new way for the company to filter everything through its own biases. All right, being unfair, and AI stands for artificial intelligence. All right, so let's go get our next article. All right, check this out. These daredevils, I should say. Scientists build humanoid robot that can pilot a plane. Yes, you read it right. Scientists build humanoid robot that can pilot a plane. That's one flight I'm never boarding. Let me see. Is this a video or okay? That's just a picture. Oh, well, I clicked on it. Hold on, give me a second. Let me go back. All right, there we go. Let's see what it's talking about. It says researchers at the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, the KAIST, have built a humanoid robot called PIBot, I guess, that can pilot a jet without having to make any major modifications to the cockpit. All right, the bug-eyed robot, which stands at just over 5 feet tall, can grip the controls and maintain altitude even in the roughest of conditions. Euronews reports. It says external cameras make sure the robot can keep track of a number of vital stats in the aircraft. Instead of thumbing through a printed out manual, PIBot can simply memorize documentation using what else? Large language models. It says in short, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating swap in for the real thing. And can even respond to emergency situations quicker than a human pilot, according to its makers. That's it for that article. Okay, so it says read more, but I'm no, I'm not gonna click on it. Let me see what this. Depending on how long it is, I'll play the whole little YouTube. It's like a long clip here. ChatGPT.
The great thing about the pilot robot is that it can fly the airplane without the many problems that pilots suffer. Humans have a limited, strength that you can only fly a certain time, and there's a lot of fatigue. But the pilot robot can fly the airplane as long as the electrical power is sustained. And also, it has the extreme amount of the memory that it can refer to the self-contained flight charts that doesn't really have to rely on the paper version of the manuals. So basically, it can memorize the entire world's the flight chart, and it can retrieve it, and it can fly the airplane.
So they basically took the term autopilot to a whole new level. And this is something that stuck out to me too up here. It says the bug-eyed robot, which stands at just over 5 feet tall. What does that sound like? These little fake green aliens they keep telling you about, little gray men, right? Little 5 foot tall green and gray alien people with big bug eyes, right? These people, man, these words, man, they use these words so subtly, like it says in Genesis 3rd chapter, right? Subtle, all right? Going into being crafty or to take crafty counsel, man. They do this a lot with their words, but just something small I want to point out. But yeah, there's your bug-eyed robot right here. PIBot, I guess, which stands for pilot robot, short, or PIBot is short for pilot robot. But this is what they're, hey, happy flying, man. All right, so moving along from their lying signs and wonders. Here's some weird news. Surgeons say pig kidney functional in human for over a month. Boy, I tell you, U.S. surgeons who transplanted a genetically modified pig kidney into a brain-dead patient said Wednesday The organ was still working well after a record 32 days, a significant step in the quest to close the organ donation gap. Using pigs, though. These people are filthy, man. The latest, and it's a Jake out there somewhere. Don't you doubt it for a second. Jake out there somewhere. I need a kidney. And doctors tell you, the only thing we have is this pig kidney right here. I don't know about a pig kidney. Well, this is the only way for you to live. Jake, go take it, man. The latest experimental procedure is part of a growing field of research aimed at advancing cross-species transplants, testing the technique on bodies that have been donated for science. You see that words? Testing the technique on bodies. You can learn a lot from a dummy that have been donated for science. All right. It says, and what is this? Dead bodies? Because it says donated for science. Yeah, there's got to be dead bodies, man. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'm not even going to get into it. It says there are more than 103,000 people waiting for organs in the United States, 88,000 of whom need kidneys. All right, and then there's going to be 88,000 people waiting for pig kidneys. All right, walking around oinking and stuff. It says we have a genetically edited. Not saying they really going to do that. We have a genetically edited pig kidney surviving for over a month in a human. All right, more of their lying signs and wonders. So I take that back, right back to their lying signs and wonders using the pig kidney. And what is 32 days, right? What is 32 days? It's nothing. He says we have a genetically edited pig kidney surviving for over a month in a human. Robert Montgomery, director of the New York University Langone Transplant Institute, told reporters, I think there's a very compelling story that exists at this point that I think should give further assurances about starting some initial studies in living humans. You see, they always want their live subjects, their test dummies, all right, and they can learn lots from dummies. And some people willingly go under these. It makes me think about that. What was it? The Venom movie, which they were being tricked, by giving the bag, but that's no different from how they'll do Jake, man. Give you the bag and say, hey, or say, I got this, such and such, and I'll give you the bag, I'll give you such an X amount of money, if you do this task right here, right? And that's exactly what was going on in the Venom movie. He said he was tricking, which they're tricking people too, but I'm just sticking to that movie, example. He was tricking these people, homeless people or whatever, and basically he was trying to find a host for the Venom, the symbiote, all right? So he was tricking people with giving them the bag, and then these people, what they didn't know is if you weren't found as a host, that they were going to die. That little the black goo was going to kill you, and then he would just move on, to the next person over and over and over. And this is the same thing they're doing right now. All right, trying to find subjects to use for their pig kidney experiments. All right, live subjects, that is. He says Montgomery carried out the first genetically modified pig kidney transplant to a human in September 2021, followed by a similar procedure in November 2021. He says there have since been a handful of other cases, with all the experiments running for 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days what? Where they die or the kidney failed? What happened? You see? It says while previous, and how filthy is a pig? How filthy is a pig, period? So everything in that pig is filthy. But anyways, it says, while previous transplants have involved body parts with up to 10 genetic modifications, while previous transplants have involved body parts with up to 10 genetic modifications, the latest had just one within the gene involved in so-called hyperacute rejection, which would otherwise occur within minutes of an animal organ being connected to a human circulatory system. Now, I usually don't do this because it takes me out of my articles. I'm going to Google punch this in if we can. Hyperacute rejection is usually caused by specific antibodies against the graft and occurs within minutes or hours after grafting. Acute rejection occurs days or weeks after transplantation and can be caused by specific lymphocytes in the recipient that recognizes HLA antigens in the tissue or organ grafted. All right. That's as far as we're going to go with that. See if we can jump back. Yep. All right, but that was also the end of that article. We get the title for you again. Headline says, surgeons say pig kidney functional in human for over a month. To them, that is a miracle. All right, and to the foods that are being experimented on, It's just a lying sign and wonder. All right, them falling into the trap of the devil. You guinea pigs is basically what you are. On to the next article. I'm sorry, I forgot about this one. There was another AI, technology article, whatever you want to call it. It says Meta AI researchers are training robots to learn like 3-year olds. They raise little baby robot boys. Look, pa, no skin. Let me read. This is babies and toddlers learn, like the pops would say, just having fun with it. Babies and toddlers learn by exploring their surroundings, and new robots can too. In a groundbreaking collaboration between Carnegie Mellon University and Meta, scientists have drawn inspiration from the way infants learn to create an innovative approach to teaching robots. The result is Robo Agent, what a name! These names, man. Robo Agent, an artificial intelligence agent designed to emulate a toddler's learning process and acquire manipulation skills. What is such a big word? Manipulation skills equivalent to a 3-year-old child. So what are they gonna do next? Start to make android babies and toddlers for women who can't conceive a child, and they don't have to adopt. You can choose whatever whatever type of child you want, whatever you want them to look like. You can choose their personality, so you're not having a toss up baby. You have exactly what you wanted, and all you have to do is come buy it. Oh man, I'm saying that, not saying they're doing that, but two, not putting anything past these devils, man. It says we aim to create a single AI agent capable of a wide range of skills and novels. And if you think about it, and in fact, because that's not the toy, but they had toys back in the days. Robots that would say certain sentences or phrases, or you can ask it a question, or it'll record your response and stuff like that. So what would they pilot? Testing these toys. You never know with these devils, man. But let's continue. It says we aim to create a single AI agent capable of a wide range of skills and novel situations, similar to known human babies learn. Explains similar to how human babies learn. Slacking. It says explains Vikash Kumar, whatever. It says from Carnegie Mellon School of Computer Sciences Robotics Institute. Excuse me. Robo Agent leverages passive observations and limited active play, just like infants who keenly watch, imitate, and replay to learn. Robo Agent showcases proficiency in 12 manipulation skills across various scenarios, demonstrating a dynamic learning platform adaptable to changing environments. Unlike prior research conducted in simulations, this project successfully operated in real-world environments using notably less data. It says robo agents exhibit a greater complexity of skills than previous attempts. Is growing. You see, it states Abhinav Gupta, an associate professor at the Robotics Institute in a university release. Our agent demonstrates a diverse skill set that surpasses any real-world robotic agent's achievements. It combines efficiency, scalability, and adaptability to unseen situations. All right, so basically, it's computerized to learn as a 3-year-old's brain will learn. Because babies, that's all they do is learn. From the moment they're born, all they do is learn. They're taking in information. All right, if you grow up in China, you're going to speak Chinese because your brain is learning Chinese all your life. All right, and you can be straight up a so-called Negro, or you could be a straight up so-called Mexican or whatever. But if you grew up in China, you're going to speak Chinese because that's what your little baby brain, is sucking in, as a child, right? All this, information that's going into that baby brain, and the baby's brain is doing nothing but learning and growing. All right. So it says the unique learning architecture of Robo Agent is the core of its effectiveness and efficiency. It employs temporal chunks of movements to make decisions, diverging from the traditional per time step approach. This innovative policy structure facilitates reasoning even with limited experiences, enabling the agent to act according to specified goals. All right, so you see how smart they're trying to make it. It says Robo Agent's learning process draws inspiration from the way children accumulate knowledge, just as parents guide their offspring, like basically what I just said. Researchers teleoperated the robot to provide valuable self-experiences. However, Robo Agent's learning scope goes beyond its immediate environment. So they're trying to make it smarter than a 3-year-old. better. Come buy one. Meta.
When we think of intelligence, only one picture comes to mind: an organism that is capable of some movements and interactions with the rest of the world. So an intelligent agent is the one that changes the environment for its own advantage. This is not the central point that today's AI is taking. They usually think of predictive AI. Some images are there, I want to predict what is happening in the images. There are some sequence of letters, I want to predict the next letter in the sequence. We know how to solve specific tasks where the scenario of the task or the scene in which that task lives is relatively stationary or pre-specified. And that is where robotics is today. What we are after is to create AI agents that are flexible, general, and is able to evolve over time in unseen situations. The perspective that we take is, let's look at a human baby, an infant that is trying to learn different skills over time. The babies observe a lot. They see a lot of things around them, and they are not initially capable of interacting with them. Initial learning comes from the passive modalities, that we are trying to build paradigms that is an active combination of passive experiences and active experiences. The passive experiences, the way we capitalize them is from internet data, human videos, a lot of pictures. And usually you can think of these passive experiences give real world priors or real world understanding to our agent. Then the self experiences, or the things the agent is trying themselves in their own embodiment, helps connect this hallucinated world where we know something about to the true world and how my embodiment is actually going to work in that true world.
Our approach is basically a robot is placed in a particular scene and you instruct the robot maybe through a goal image or through a language instruction of what it should do, and it just does that particular task. So that is the level of generalization we are after. One of the main aims of AI is to enable systems that can help people in their everyday tasks. One of the ways of doing that is by actually deploying robots that live in the physical world in people's homes, offices, and other places that can help them solve everyday tasks.
When we learn multiple skills together, the agent is able to internalize the common structure that is shared across all these skills.
If I know how to open a microwave in this particular room, I would know how to open a similar microwave in maybe my own home or in another office, and so on, because the details of the rest of the scene do not matter.
Multitask learning allows us to be able to leverage our experiences across each of these skills and then learn one common thing across all of them. And that one common thing often reflects how the world works.
We can act in universal settings, new settings. And this is the holy grail for robotics. This is what is going to take artificially intelligent agents out of robotic cages into a real world.
Robotics has always been data hungry, and there have been very limited data sets. And what we are releasing is a large data set on very common hardware that is accessible and used by many labs across the world. And I think this will motivate other people to actually join us in this effort and be able to multiply this data set with their own data sets, being able to curate these data sets and hope that other people adopt it and multiply it with their own experiences is going to be critical towards this journey.
So there you have it, man. Doggone, you got a digital microchip, you got digital currency, you got a daggone a robot baby, a robot pilot, you got doggone robot ninjas doing parkour or whatever. I mean, you got electric cars. I mean, it just, their technocracy doesn't stop, and they're not going to stop, all right? Only he now will let it until he be taken out of the way. These devils are going to continue doing and operating in these means until the Lord, allows them to pull their plan off foolproof to a certain extent and squash these bugs, man. Let's continue. It says, to overcome limitations, Robo Agent learns from internet videos similar to how babies acquire behaviors by observing their surroundings, says Mohit Sharma, a PhD student in robotics. These videos help Robo Agent learn how humans interact with objects and utilize skills to complete tasks. It extracts valuable lessons from different scenarios and applies them to new challenges. The team's ambitious project aims to enhance robotics adaptability in diverse settings. It says robo agents learning could lead us closer to a universal robot capable of a range of tasks in various environments, states Shubham Tosiani. It says an assistant professor from the Robotics Institute. This platform can make robotics more useful in unstructured spaces such as homes, hospitals, and public areas. It reminds me of iRobot. Everybody getting these doggone robots to do their, their home biddings or whatever, right? It says the project's impact the project's impact is further amplified by its open source approach. The team is sharing its trained models, code base, hardware drivers, and extensive dataset, RoboSet, which is the largest publicly accessible robotics dataset on standard hardware. The goal is to foster collaboration and development within the robotics community, paving the way for a versatile and foundational general robotic agent in the future. That's that robot dog right there. That's the end of the article. Let's grab it. Hopefully it's not too long.
A robot dog born without any knowledge about its leg anatomy or how it works, but with animal-like reflexes to teach it how to walk in an hour, has been built by scientists. Researchers in Germany say the canine creation called Morty learns to walk quickly because it makes good use of its virtual spinal cord. Well, this sounds like the start of robot world domination. Just saying. That's why they make them look like dogs, so you trust them. I kid, of course. Well, the theory is based on the fact that baby animals begin their lives relying on hardwired spinal cord reflexes, and more basic motor control reflexes also help the animal.
And real quick, they have created other animal-looking robots. Like there was one that was really huge, looked like a bull or a rhinoceros or a moose or something. But like they're creating different versions of these. They're experimenting, right? But once again, this is that digital technocracy world he's pushing because he has a God complex, and in order for him to completely be God over this world, like he thinks he's going to be, is to implement everybody with the RFID microchip and then fashion around them a digital world, even if it means robotic animals and and electric cars and all those kinds of things, whatever, because his idea of a so-called dystopian future, right, is this digital, futuristic technocracy robotic type of world. All right. But that's not the world that is to come. All right. The world is to come is the kingdom of heaven. All right. The kingdom of our Lord. All right. Talked about in Daniel chapter 7, which is going to be forever. It's going to last forever. It's going to be a righteous kingdom. And as the scriptures say, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And all these nations, right, not just Israel, all these nations are going to be happy when these devils, these Edomites, the so-called white men, is taken out of the way and out of power. All right. They're going to realize how much better life is for them. All right, that's why the scripture is going to talk about how all nations are going to want to flow unto it. Speaking of Jerusalem, all right, coming to seek the ways of the Lord. All right, not saying they're going to be a part of what we have, but it just mean the law, statutes, commandments, and His ordinances, which they're going to have to learn them anyways. All right, because if you don't follow them, you're going to get severely punished, or you may be put to death. All right, but all these things funnel into one another. Let's continue this video.
The animal avoid falling and hurting themselves during their first attempts at walking. The robot dog works by using a complex algorithm that guides how it learns information from foot sensors, and it's matched with data from the model spinal cord, which is running as a program in the robot's computer. The robot dog learns to walk by constantly comparing set and expected sensor information, running reflex loops, they're called, and adapting the way it regulates its movements. The algorithm adapts control parameters of a central pattern generator, or CPG. The authors say the robot is good for the planet as it only uses 5 watts of power to walk. Well, that's great to know that our robot overlords will be quite efficient. Again, I kid. You can check out more info on this and other studies by clicking in the link in the description below and head over to studyfinds.com.
All right, unless you've been under a rock, this is nothing new. All right, because these robot dogs are already here. All right, they have they're able to be equipped with assault rifles, sniper rifles, rocket launchers, flamethrowers, and probably other gadgets and devices that we haven't seen yet. All right, so hey, This is the friendly version, right? A little pet robot dog, all right? But the version that's going to bring down havoc on, the communities, right? It's going to be those ones that I just mentioned, right? And like I said, they may very well be, I don't know, bulletproof. They may have night vision, infrared vision, or whatever the case may be, all right? But these robot animals exist, and they're weapons, all right? They're not just some friendly little robotic pet. These are going to be used as weapons when, like it says in Revelation 12:12, when the devil shall come down with great wrath, and Isaiah 59:19, how they're going to come in like a flood. That's just part of their gadgets, and devices that they're going to use against the general population, all right? That was it for that article. Get that headline again for you. Meta AI researchers are training robots to learn like 3-year-olds. All right, so let's get our next article. All right, I believe these next couple ones are dealing with the WHO. The WHO. All right, it says YouTube to censor content contradicting WHO guidelines. All right. So let's go and get into it. And well, in case you don't know, WHO stands for World, which is right here on the screen. So yeah, there it is right there. World Health Organization. All right, the WHO. Okay, it says YouTube has introduced a new medical misinformation policy that will censor any medical or health-related content that doesn't align with claims made by the World Health Organization. All right, same thing that got me a strike. They struck me from saying the V word, which I didn't actually say that because they'll strike you for that, for saying the V word. But I didn't even say the word. All right, I just said some kind of little code word, but they still gave me a strike on my channel. But it's all goody two shoes, because hey, we got other channels. YouTube, you can't stop it. All right, it says YouTube earlier had a C19 misinformation policy webpage that stated that the platform doesn't allow any content that poses a serious risk or of egregious harm. All right, and spreads medical misinformation contradicting what the WHO or local health authorities LHA says about the C19 pandemic. And who do you think this is for? This is for the men of the Lord teaching the truth, because the average person is running around on the internet looking up bullshit. All right, they're not looking up the real what has to do with your everyday health. You have children, your everyday life, or what's coming in the future. The average person is sitting around on Facebook and social media looking up garbage every day. All right, you should be looking at this life or death situation coming your way. All right, by these devils, the World Economic Forum, these international banking families, and all this stuff. They're telling these people what they're planning, but the average American is just looking up garbage every single day. All right, that's why the scriptures say that it's gonna catch people like a thief in the night, especially here in America, with the land of unwalled villages, as it says. Right, 1 Thessalonians 5:3. When they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come upon them, because you're allowing your government, which your government means mind control, you're allowing your government to continue patting you on the head like a good little dog and sit you down somewhere quiet until they come and roll over you with their plan, all right? Or destruction comes first, which basically that's going to come from them coming in steamrolling, all right? Because they're adamant about carrying out their plans. But what is the average American doing? All right, they're out here just being idiots. All right, your everyday life is other people's lives. I could care less about social media. All right, I could care less about what other people are doing, because more than likely that's the 2/3. You run around on the internet, everything is about social media, about being seen. You're looking at actors and rappers and what everybody else is doing in their life. You better worry about your own life, all right? Because this is life and death situation. Just that people take it for a joke. But that's why the Lord raised up prophets. Prophesy means to say before. So there will be no you not knowing, because you're going to be warned. You are being warned constantly. For years, you've been warned. But how many people are going to take that into account? All right. Let's continue. It says, the webpage now redirects to a medical misinformation policy page that expands the censorship rule to specific health conditions and substances rather than C19 alone. YouTube stated that the policy could be arbitrarily enforced as it may not cover all guidance from the WHO or LHAs related to specific health conditions or substances. All right. In August 15th, blog post, YouTube wrote that it wants to make sure there is a robust framework to build upon when the need for new medical misinformation policies arises. We'll continue to monitor local and global health authority guidance to make sure our policies adapt, the post reads. We want our approach to be clear and transparent so that content creators understand where the policy lines are and viewers know they can trust the health information they find on YouTube. But you can't trust the prophets, right? The ones that teach, boy, I tell you, All right, here we go. They're trying to set me up again. YouTube asks creators to avoid posting content on the platform that contradicts health authority guidance on the prevention or transmission of certain health conditions or on the safety, efficacy, or ingredients of currently approved and administered. Continuing on. Content that contradicts guidance on treatments, including promoting specific harmful substances or practices not approved by authorities or the WHO as safe and effective, also won't be allowed on the platform. Any content that denies the existence of certain health conditions would be banned as well. The new policy is being criticized for suppressing the free flow of information. Arthur Michael Schellenberger pointed out that YouTube's new policies will censor you if you disagree with the WHO that. All right, YouTube recognizes that WHO's guidance might change, but if it does, it won't be because of debate on YouTube. YouTube isn't a social media platform. It's a propaganda platform, he wrote in August 16 post on X, formerly known as Twitter. Yeah, trying to deter people from looking up things on YouTube, because they're trying to say everything that's on YouTube is just false information, is misinformation, so on and so forth. All right, because they know the prophets are heavily on YouTube, flooding the internet with truth. All right, facts and edification, like the brother says. Right. It says, imagine if YouTube had been around over the last 200 years. It would have banned criticisms of bloodletting, thalidomide, lobotomies, and sterilizing the mentally ill, all of which were recommended by official health authorities. We're definitely going to skip over this. As a matter of fact, we're probably going to end this article. There's a little bit more there. Let's see what it's talking about real quick. Abuse of power. In his X post, Mr. Schellenberger pointed out that opposition to bad medical or health advice usually comes from outside of these professions. By disallowing criticism of the mainstream narrative, YouTube's new policy risks triggering gross abuses of power. It's also an attack on free speech, science, and democracy, he said, noting that this is all part of WHO's master plan to censor the world. You got it. And it starts with attacking the prophets of the Lord. The WHO has also faced criticism for colluding with the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, especially during the early days of the C19 pandemic. As the organization repeated the regime's talking points, the WHO downplayed the effect of C19, which eventually spread to 229 countries around the world, with a death toll of nearly 7 million people, excluding China. Yeah, let's just end this article because they might get me for that as well, which I didn't say anything wrong. I was just reading. So let's go and get our next article. That headline says YouTube to censor content contradicting WHO guidelines. All right, here's a rhetorical question for you. Who's behind the push for digital driver's licenses in the U.S. and Mexico? Right? Who's behind the push for digital driver's licenses in the U.S. and Mexico? All right, so it says, as so-called digital or mobile driver's licenses begin rolling out across North America, we must ask who is behind the expansion of this potentially dangerous technology. All right, and we know who's behind it. That's why I didn't answer the question. It says, in my previous reporting, I have outlined how the push for digital identity programs is a scam disguised as a human right. This scam is designed to lull the world into accepting digital identity schemes as beneficial, convenient, safe, and necessary for the world of the future. The United Nations and the World Economic Forum are promoting the use of digital identities using blockchain technology and biometric data. Keep hearing about that, right? It says gained by scanning the faces or retinas, which I mentioned the other day, right? This is scanning your eyeballs, all right? The faces or retinas of individuals. And one of those that we talked about was the orb. We went into an article about the orb. Okay, I believe there's another version of that, but the orb is one that we definitely went into once before, and we also went into it recently. All right, two separate articles talking about the same device technology. Right, the orb, where it scans people's retina. All right. So let's see here. It says the World Bank and the UN have also been funding the development of such programs as part of the Identification for Development, the ID4D initiative. 4D, yeah. It says the World Bank is also funding digital biometric ID programs in Mexico, pushing digital ID in poorer countries with the ostensible goal of providing legal identity to the 1.1 billion people who do not currently have one. And why is that so important if they don't have one? Because everything is going digital. All right, they want you to ultimately be pushed into taking the RFID microchip, which RFID stands for radio frequency identification. It says the goal is to get the world on digital IDs by 2030. There's that 2030 agenda again. All right, as part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 agenda. And I talked about that before, hiding, their true plans under the guise of the word sustainability. Right? It says the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, are a collection of 17 interlinked objectives adopted by the United Nations in 2015 with the ostensible goal of ending poverty, protecting the planet, and spreading peace and prosperity to all people by 2030. However, privacy advocates and digital rights groups have warned about the dangers of digital ID programs. Indeed, during that, many nations implemented that as a means for travel and work. All right. Yeah. That was a test run. All right. These programs were essentially the equivalent of a digital ID. Boom. You see? Despite it was all a test run, man. It says, despite the panic having subsided in June, the European Commission and the World Health Organization announced a digital health partnership to establish a new digital passport system for the world. Clearly, digital ID passport. All right. Clearly, digital ID schemes are not going anywhere. All right. So we have the digital passport, the DVP. It says the era of digital driver's license is upon us. It says one of the latest efforts to normalize the use of digital IDs is known as mobile driver's license, MDL, or simply digital driver's license. All right. And that's not the first time we went into an article about this either. It says these digital IDs are beginning to roll out across North America in 3 common forms. Let's see what they're talking about. It says including a proprietary app owned by local, state, or national government, various state-approved apps like Smart ID, the Apple Wallet, which four U.S. states are currently using to host their digital driver's license. According to a guide to digital driver's license, users will open the chosen app, scan the front and back of their physical driver's license, and then verify their identity with a selfie or similar biometric data. And this makes me think about when they try to tell you, when they came around with the new thing talking about you got to get a star on your license or you won't be able to enter any federal buildings or courthouses. Now, we don't have to ever enter to the average person doesn't ever have to enter to a federal building. And also the average person doesn't have to enter a courthouse, but on a lesser scale, you could have a situation. Maybe you caught a traffic ticket or whatever, and you paid it off, so you want to go to the DA, so you won't have to go to court and worry about any back charges or getting your license taken, whatever. All that foolishness that comes from it. Which is all centered around money, anyways. But for that reason, you may have to go to the courthouse. So how can you get in without the star on your license? But ironically, they push forward this star, which I have one on my license, and they push forward this star. And it's yet to be implemented about having a star on your license. But that was all a trial run. All right. Which I know, it's be brothers, in the truth that have it on their license. But the point is, it's to the average people who are blind to these, little small tactics and, trial runs that the devil does on things before they fully implement the actual activity that they want to put forth. All right. It says, we're going to pick up right here. It says something very similar to what appears to already be starting on Twitter. Once verified, the user can begin using their digital ID app as they would a physical ID card. What does it say here? It says X is seemingly working on adding government ID verification with Israeli digital ID company. Bunch of numbers and letters to verify by ID. Users will have to upload a selfie and a photo of their government ID. You see? And there once it's uploaded, you'll be there digitally, okay? It says users will have to upload a selfie and a photo of their government ID, and they will have this digital. The only thing that they need to update maybe is your appearance, right? They may tell you, every X amount of years to update your appearance so they can make sure you're up to date. They want to make sure we know what you still look like, because everything else, like your expiration date or whatever, that could be changed digitally, right? If there's an expiration date, right? So let's continue. It says in May 2021, the American Civil Liberties Union discussed efforts to mandate digital driver's license in a report titled Identity Crisis. The ACLU warned that the use of digital driver's licenses raises the danger that there will be no balanced assessment of the costs and benefits of such a system, and that we will adopt systems that do not strike the right balance between the needs for identification, security, and convenience, and Americans' well-founded aversion to government and corporate surveillance and regimentation. Let me see what else it has here. The Thales Group fingerprints are all over digital ID programs. Let's see real quick. It says the Thales Group is a French multinational corporation which is partially owned by the French government and the 8th largest military weapons contractor in the world. Beginning in 2007, Thales, in cooperation with local partner Cosmocolor, implemented the first Mexican smart card driving license in Nuevo León. Says Thales has expanded their technology to the Mexican states of Mexico, Veracruz, and Sonora. With over 127 million inhabitants and some 55 million drivers, there are many potential benefits for migration to smart cards driving license in Mexico. All right. So, hey, there you have it, man. We're going to have to keep going on here. It's a piece of the Great Reset, or is it? It says, overall, the Thales Group has been a part of the international shift towards digital identities and the promotion of the technology as a human right. In February 2021, blog title, Digital Inclusion, the Human Right to Have an Identity, the Thales Group wrote, the lack of identity is not just a loss in terms of being seen by the system and society. It is an exclusion that prevents people from achieving their full potential. They cannot be educated. They cannot access healthcare services, and their children inherit this legacy as they're born outside the system. Of course, the general assumption is that there is no life or liberty to be had outside the system. This should come as no surprise to those who have been following the Great Reset plans of the World Economic Forum, which I mentioned time to time at camp, and all the, brothers across this earth, in like mind and unison, right? They're talking about this, the plans of the Great Reset of the WEF and UN since their announcement in June 2020. The Thales Group's efforts to expand digital identity play perfectly into the technocratic state envisioned by the Great Resetters. In June 2022, the Center for Human Rights and Global Justice, a hub for human rights study at New York University School of Law, issued a 100-page report detailing the growing dangers of a reliance on digital identity around the world. The report titled Paving a Digital Road to Hell, and that hell is just a grave, and he's going to lead you there. It says, examine the role of the World Bank and other international networks which have been promoting the use of digital ID in recent years. All right, we're going to end it right there. And that was the end of the article anyways. All right, so we'll get the headline for you one more time. Who's behind the push for digital driver's licenses in the U.S. and Mexico? All right. All right, so Laki, that was my last article that we just grabbed. But real quick, I believe this is going into what we were just, in one of those other articles we were just reading through. It says YouTube goes scorched earth against nutrition, superfoods, and natural medicine, announcing new policies targeting so-called medical misinformation. All right, worded differently, but I believe it's going into the same, topic here. And notice how this is a robotic eye with the red YouTube logo, right? And there's one more right below here. It says, coincidence? Maui neighborhood was winning against catastrophic wildfire until water was deliberately cut off. We'll click it real quick. Maybe not read through it, but we'll see. Let's see what it has down here. Maybe there's a video, maybe not. Very short article. Like I said, we're not really going to read into it. But this is say firsthand witnesses believe the disaster was planned. That's the talk right now. People were also wondering, as there were no outdoor warning. What happened here? What just happened? What the heck? Get off my screen. All right, it says, people were also wondering, as there were no outdoor warning sirens set off by either local or state emergency agencies. The locals only dependent on emergency warnings via mobile device alerts, local radio and TV stations, and Maui County's notification system for subscribed residents, which they believe were not adequate. All right. So yeah, and that's also being part of this talk here with the Maui fires. You heard about the Canada fires. Is that what video? Canadian fires. Things are just happening, man. You had the earthquakes in Turkeys and not Turkeys, but Turkey, and just so many other disasters, which all lines up with the scriptures, right? The Lord says these things are going to happen. Matthew 24, Luke 21. These things are going to happen in diverse places. Diverse meaning different, all right? Famine, pestilence, sword, all these things, all right? All these plays since for scourges, for amendment, all right? And, and pretty much punishment for correction. That's what it's going to. Scourges for punishment. Pretty much saying punishment, for correction, all right, of all the people of the earth. But most importantly, the Israelites, all right? That's why Jacob, or it's called Jacob's trouble. I was referencing Jeremiah 13:7. It's called Jacob's trouble because it's coming towards the house of Israel first, all right? And so, the 2/3, they're going to have to look out, man. There's nothing they can do about it anyways. And all you hopeful elect out there, only thing we could do is be their hopeful elect, the 1/3 remnant put on, therefore, as the elect. It says Maui Island, Hawaii fire survivor and first-hand witnesses speak out. We're going to grab this video. I'm probably going to shut it down after this. The truth they are not telling you about the massacre in Maui. Big word there, massacre.
I have been trapped in Lahaina for the last 4 days. And I experienced firsthand what was going on there. What I went through is not important. I need to get this message out. This was not a natural disaster. This was a direct energy attack on the people and the place of Maui. If you know what lives there, what descendants live there, you know why. And you know why it happened on 8/8. And if this is not something that you believe, it's time to stop being a sheep. They came in and they took control. There were trees standing and the buildings gone. This system, this weather system, came in from the mountains, from the east. That does not happen. They were not telling people anything. They were not letting people in to help. And they were letting people go in to get burned alive. There were people burning alive in the streets. There were people dead in the water. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of people that died. What they're telling you in the news is not true, and I lived it firsthand. I sat with the people. This is not to bring fear. This is to educate, because there is darkness that's being hidden. And soon people are going to see. I know now why Gaia sent me there. And I am going to use this platform.
Gaia.
There was no warning.
Mother Earth.
There was no nothing. Please boost this post. I want everybody to see this. I don't give a fuck about me. I want everybody to see this. What they're telling you in the news is not what happened.
Yeah, we know that by now. Talking about a Gaia sent me there. Ain't no Mother Earth sent you nowhere. The Lord used an age-old tactic on your ass. He sent you somewhere for some death and destruction, and left one person alive to go and tell about the fear of me. Because even if it was these devils that did it, who you think put the spirit on them to do so? It's the Lord. All right. I, the Lord, do all these things. I create peace and make evil. All right. It's the Lord that controls the right hand side as well as the left. It was the Lord that burnt up Maui, and he just used his whipping stick to do so. The one that he blessed with the sword, which was E. And we're going to end it right there. Lord willing, you will edify to next time, Yasharala. Shalom.